Hey coin collectors, it's DC on the Big D, and we're looking at the PCGS website, as you can see up at the top here. And this is the 1972 1-cent double die. And look at this, is the most amazing double die in history as far as I'm concerned. Just a beautiful coin. It's double die on the In God We Trust. It's double die on the Liberty. It's double die on the 2. Look at that 2 down there. It's just amazing. So what we've decided to do is see if we can look through some of our 1972 coins and see the Lincoln pennies from 1972 and see if we can find any double die. Well, the first thing we want to do is talk about what pennies it might be on. So in 1972, they had 3 different mints that produced pennies. They had the Philadelphia Mint right here that produced the Lincoln penny without any mint mark on it. And you can see that right here. And so when we look at this, I guess right up front we look at, is there any double die on this one? No, because the Philadelphia Mint is the one you want to look at. The Philadelphia Mint in 1972, they made $2.9 billion. If you can get this in an MS-65, it's worth $6 or more because they made $2.9 billion, but they didn't really take a lot of care. And one of the places they didn't take a lot of care was in the uncirculated mint sets. This is a uncirculated mint set from Philadelphia. This came straight out of the packaging. Look at that. That's how they put it in, the uncirculated mint set with all this crap on it, I guess is what you'd call it. So if you can find one of these, see if you find a 1972, especially if you find one in good condition, see if you can look through and see if there's any doubling anywhere, because it could be on the words on top, it could be on the Liberty, it could be on the 1972, or it could be on all 3, and you might be able to see a little bit around Lincoln. There are at least 22 varieties of double dies on the 1972 Philadelphia coin. Where else did they make it? Well, they also made it, of course, at the San Francisco Mint, and this was a business strike. This isn't a proof strike to San Francisco Mint. In 1972 was one of the years that they still ran the San Francisco Mint kind of full speed. But if you can get an MS-65 from the San Francisco Mint, it's worth $26.50. If you can get a proof 65, it's worth $5.50. So the MS-65s just aren't available very much for any of the mints. There's the S. I mean, it looks pretty good, but look at all the junk on it. And this is, again, from an uncirculated mint set. It just did not have, they just did not take a lot of care with them necessarily. That's a nice looking S on there. At the San Francisco Mint in 1972, they made $380 million. And so if you can get this in a MS-65, you're talking about $26+. We don't really need to look at the In God We Trust, the Liberty on the S's, because it was a Philadelphia only issue. It's a Denver Mint, and that's this one here. We haven't really looked at it yet. We don't really need to look at the In God We Trust, the Liberty either, because that's not an identified issue on the Denver Mint. But at the Denver Mint in 1972, they made $2.6 billion, and this coin in an MS-65 is worth $12 or more. Well, what's a double die worth, and what's its value? If you can get a double die 1972 Philadelphia coin at extra fine 40, which these might actually qualify, some of these, it's worth $240. So in PCGS, the one that we showed you on PCGS sold for $14,000, because that was not only a double die obverse, but that was also just an incredibly good coin. And so on the PCGS website, go and take a look at that one if you get a chance, because it is certainly worth looking at. So let's look again. So these are the 3 we have, and none of these really seem to have. Let's look at the beat up one, because you don't ignore the beat up ones, because if they say an extra fine 40, that means one in this condition might still be worth $50 or more, because an extra fine 40 is worth 200 and something. So you tip it up, you look way up in there and see if you can see any doubling at all. and of course you can't. Let's tip it way up and see if we can, at least on this one we can see the VDB on it. Right there, Victor David Brenner, who engraved these coins in 1909. Well, what else is on the coin? Well, it has a smooth edged. This is when it was still a brass coin, so mostly copper, before they changed that in 1982 to a copper-coated zinc. But we still see some of the other materials come through, and this is kind of a zinc spots that come through. And you see that once in a while, even on the old brass ones. It says United States of America here, E pluribus unum. Down here it says 1 cent. And this coin is worth about 1 cent. So if you're looking for these, see if you can get it in the best possible condition you can. Look in the uncirculated mint sets, but you may not get a great, may not find a great deal on those, and you may not find a great coin on those. And then you can also look at the proof sets. So in 1972 they made 3.3 million proof sets. So there is some proof S's out there. They're not of huge value, but if you get one in a proof set, you can kind of break it down, and you can take the S out, and you can take the penny, the dime, the nickel, and you can probably get a good deal on a proof set. All right, that's all we have today from the Big D coins.